that's correct.
As RPGs and will.
Yeah, that's a problem. Problem for who?
Stream elements. Welcome to my channel.
Never see it.
Nightbot. Welcome to my channel.
Peggy 18.
Death hath cast its shadow o'er this land. All hope seemeth lost. Yet still thou dost fight. Why? What seekest thou in the dark? A touch of warmth? A gold coin? Or two? No. Deep within these folds of flesh, you and I both know. Death has judged us rightly. For we are but beasts, unworthy of salvation.
Oh yeah, that does put a smile on my face. Welcome back to the channel, buddy, and I hope you're doing fine. So that was the gameplay trailer for Hunger, and today we're gonna analyze the whole thing. We're gonna take a couple of screenshots, then we're gonna discuss this, and it's gonna be hopefully a good podcast episode. What did the devs reveal in this trailer? And then at the end, I want to share a little bit my thoughts about what I think is good, what I think can be a little bit of concern, actually. And with that, as always, timestamps in the description below. Let's start. From the creators of Hell Let Loose, which is actually a good thing, by the way. We're gonna talk about that in a bit. Oh yeah, just look at that. So the first thing, let's take a screenshot right here, is I like the animations from the characters. That weapon swap right there from Gabriel, that's the character that you can see right now on the front, looked very, very smooth. He's also using a halberd kind of weapon. When it comes to the environment, it seems to be very detailed, very rich. I'm saying this because just recently we saw a little bit of Marathon gameplay trailer. And I know that I'm not the target audience. I kind of disliked how clean and sterile all the maps looked like. So I like this setting here way more. The detail for the gun, pretty nice. So I'm gonna tell you right now, we have over 50
Welcome
screenshots.
to my
So
channel.
I will try to not spend too much time for every single one, because otherwise we're gonna be here tomorrow. Okay. And with that, just let's keep going. Oh, but we have to take a screenshot again. Just look at that sword. Now, the level of detail when it comes to the weapons in this game seems to be pretty high and pretty good. We will have to check out how the others will be, but so far what I see from this sword right here, the blades and also the grip and everything, this is just gorgeous. Okay, then I would say we jump into our fog map right here. And yes, that in the back, what you see there, that balloon, that is your extraction. People ask me in the comment section, hey, will there be an animation for this? And as far as I know, yes. So during the match, the balloons will come down at certain times and will pick you up, and then you leave with them. And we also have a little scene from the chateau, and you can see the balloon over there. So this is probably how you travel across the maps. What I think is interesting, that the character in front of us is actually carrying 2 guns and has this one-handed axe. So maybe you can have multiple guns and a melee weapon. Maybe when you want to have a 2-handed weapon, you can only take 1 rifle and 1 pistol. I don't know exactly how that will work yet, but from what I see, this is pretty nice. Let's keep going here. Oh yes, and this is just, first of all, that reload animation was nice. I think that is Anna perspective. The bracelet gives it away a little bit. And you have to keep in mind, this is recorded with the gameplay client. This is in-game stuff. I'm a little bit terrified that, you know, how strong does your PC have to be so you can run this smoothly? So I hope optimization will be something that they consider. And once more, this is pre-alpha footage. And this is pre-alpha footage? Hell yeah. Sign me up for that one. So visually, I have to say the maps that they showed look great. Let's keep going for a little bit. And yeah, there's actually a few things hidden here. So I was wondering, the blood bags. The blood bags are the healing items that slowly heal you over time. So something that you use out of combat. And we can see Hugo using that. So they do have an animation for that. Also some very disgusting sound effects there. We see a regular drag on the left. We see a bloater. And then you can see the extraction at the top. So will it stay there at the cliff, or is it like coming down right now? And you can extract down there in this little valley? Oh my God, I can't wait to play this. Okay. It seems to be stationary. Next one. Okay, so we can confirm that there are a few new weapons, because I think this is a spear on the right. Yeah, that is a spear. On the left we have Marie, and we have one of these creepy crawly things there. And there seems to be a camp in a sort of cave. But you know what? Maybe that's an entry to the dungeon. Could be. I mean, looks like you can go further into that cave in the back. Nice. Maybe it's just a point of interest and you get some loot from that little camp over there. Okay, then. Oh yeah. Oh, yeah, this is gonna be nice. So first of all, what you see here is called the chateau. This is the hub where you can see other players, where you have the vendors. And we were just talking about that. You can see the balloon here basically waiting for you to start an expedition. And I absolutely love this. We're wheeling here a very fancy Zweihänder. We have a nice backpack. You can see the other players. And I think the little square with the triangle inside, those are the NPC vendors. Okay, then the next one is gonna be some looting. You probably saw it already. It works a little bit like in other games where you basically have to search the container. It goes rather fast though. And then I absolutely love the inventory. I said already in the last video that all these icons are handmade, and they wanted to have this Renaissance influence. I mean, that bottle right there that just looks straight, I don't know, out of a museum, like an oil painting. It's amazing. And I think we're looting here the deux. I hope I pronounce this correctly, because deux means two, and people explained it to me in the comment section. So what the thing does is you have 2 barrels, and once you fire the first one, the barrels can turn. And when the barrels can turn, of course, well, you don't have to reload and you can fire the second bullet. So, very nice design. I'm enjoying this a lot. So, rarity, you have some green, you have some blues. I don't know how high that goes. And also our backpack with 9 items seems to be rather small. We have a weapon holster for 2 weapons. So apparently how big your holster is means or determines how many weapons you can take. But we also have a tool belt, and I assume the 100 main weapons go into your tool belt. But yeah, okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, so this is one of the quest givers, I guess, because quest proposed from Luis, still alive, and he does have a little fella over there, doesn't he? Ah, that's kind of cute. Reminds me a little bit of Ratatouille, but okay. Let's see. So we're gonna have quests, and then again, this is the Stash Master. So this is basically where you have your vault for all your items. Okay, okay. You can probably upgrade this. I see 36 out of 50, but there's a plus icon, so I assume with quests you unlock more. Now, Armor Helmet, Sapper's Helmet, reduces the additional damage from headshots by 50%. Okay, so that reads like crazy, and the first thing that I did after seeing that item, I ran to the dev. I'm like, is this real? Because this sounds insane. And he explained it to me with this calculation right here. So a gun that deals 72 damage and it shoots you in the face gets a damage multiplier by 2. That means it hits for 144. And with this helmet, you take 50% less damage from the damage multiplier. So it's not cutting the 144 in half, it's cutting the bonus in half. So you take 108 damage. Now, the dev also told me that this will probably expand your life by maybe 1 or 2 hits, and it will not make you a running tank. And going for headshots will still pay off. This whole armor system, I think we need to see how that will work then in actual combat. But talking to the dev calmed me down quite a bit. On top of that, they can always tweak stuff, and this is why you have early access, where you can balance stuff then, alright? Because I know I had to address this, because people will go wild in the comment section otherwise. Okay, but there is more, and I would like to check that out now. By the way, it goes apparently up to purple. And there are so many beautiful items. This is great, because I can't mention this enough. The Cycle, Marauders, and all these other games where you have to loot stuff, it's always the same items over and over. There's like maybe 10, 20, 30, and right here I see already like 30 plus on this screenshot, and no way this is gonna be everything that the game has to offer. Okay, then this right here, ooh, it's Pyro or Pyro? Probably Pyro, because they're all French. Merchant, reputation neutral, so there's a reputation system. I guess by doing the quests you unlock higher tiers, higher reputation levels, get access to more stuff. Maybe it's gonna be cheaper. And he looks like an alchemist, or maybe a healer, selling you all the healing potions. But yeah, I absolutely like the design of these NPCs. And then we have this right here. Okay, this is what he sells. He's a merchant. And in this screenshot, reputation level 2, friendly, and he sells apparently guns too. Because your inventory is on the right. And new wares in 60 minutes and 24 seconds. So stuff is limited. Maybe it's also not always the same stuff, which would be interesting. Okay, cool. Let's just keep the trailer rolling. Oh yeah. And as I said, we take a lot of screenshots because we're gonna analyze this whole thing in detail. That's also why I let the trailer run once at the beginning without interruptions and without my annoying talking.
Exp Collector. Welcome to my channel.
Gdje si slab? Šta je?
Dobar dan ako saj raspolojen za Dark Tide palim gdje za koji minut.
Posle ručka mogu da vas... udostojim. Mojim prisustvom, tako reći. Ne znam da li to odgovara, ali to mogu da ponudim. A sad jebi. Raduje kad vidi ovo. Polukružno. Krene na mene, još se nije ni okrenuo umjesto. Oj! Ah, jebem. Shit. Traps.
Apparent greeter DPDFV. Welcome to my channel. BSY on stream.com removed the space K fetch.
Whatever that means, so sure. Thanks. Thanks, game. I don't know, maybe. Ja trčim, me stiže. Jedi govna, bre! Garbage. Ah. Evo ga da. 24 da XP. Pa to je 500 XP. I ja. A, 1, 2, 3. Pa to ti to. Sure.
Visually, this game is nice. The lighting, it depends a lot how this will feel when you are in a building and you have to aim outside against the sun, because when you're blind, it will be annoying. But otherwise, this would get a thumbs up from me. And then we check out the trailer. Oh yes. So this is one of these blood bags that you can have, and I would say this is already a higher tier because it looks fancy. We're also going up against a few drags, and there's also an elite in the back. Again, the lighting is a little bit aggressive, but we are looking into the sun. It depends how this will feel then in the game. So, when we keep going here, okay, yeah, I don't like that. It's huge, isn't it? It's like a really big mofo. The scenery in the back though is really great. This might be a rare AI. Maybe it's just an elite. I don't know. They show it actually quite a bit in the trailer. I don't know how often you will actually face that in game. And then I would say we jump to the next one. And this is gonna be again an armor topic. You can see this animation here, and you have this. Yeah, I think we need to go right at the beginning of the clip because there's a single frame where you can see a sort of armor plate. So there will be two ways to repair your armor quickly. It's gonna be that one, and then slower with the repair tone, which they will show in a bit too, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, let's see. We're gonna keep going here with this one, and this is finally some indoor footage. And I like what I see. Also, it seems that the healing elixirs, you just pop the cap and then it's something you have to sniff or drink. With the vapor, I think it's gonna be something that you sniff. Maybe it's gonna just be a buff item and it's not even something for healing, because that's gonna be a thing too. We discussed this in the last video where we talked about food and drinks. Okay, and then again the fog map. That's probably the the follow-up from what we had at the beginning. We're still running towards to this extraction. Again, looks pretty fancy. There is some open space too. How they will balance this whole melee and range fighting will be very, very interesting. Well, okay. Then in the next one, okay, this is just nuts. All right. So I don't want to crush your hope and dreams. But the background, this is just, you know, like the mountains in the other map. I think the map ends at these, like, 2 towers. And that's it. And you play, like, this chateau map. Might even be a smaller one. Maybe it's also at the map border and you look into the city. Because otherwise this would be just crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to hide this. I'm a huge fan of this art style. Okay, I try not to get too hyped, but the more I see from the game and the more they show me, it's getting difficult. So we are raiding a camp here, and you can see the big brute there in the back, basically the mini boss of this area. And again we see Abel, I think his name is Abel, with a spear. My god, spear? I can see that work. They're not really showing the attack pattern for that one, but I would assume there's a lot of thrusting there. And we keep going with this. Oh yeah, so we see a regular drag. I like just the level design. Lots of detail there, and it seems like lots and lots of love went into this. And what is Hugo doing here? So he's tossing something behind him. So maybe he just used a potion and tosses the rest away, but he tosses multiple items. It's really hard to see. Maybe he's using some caltrops. So when somebody tries to attack him from behind while he's taking care of the drag, he's gonna be safe. I don't know yet. This is really hard to tell, and you know what? As always, you can write in the comment section. You can do your theory crafting. What do you think is Hugo doing here? I actually don't know. My guess would be caltrops, but you probably have a pretty good guess too. Let's keep going. Yeah, and see, this is what I mentioned before. You can repair with these armor plates, but you can also repair with the tongs over here. Ooh, a bloater is charging you. And you need to reload your, I think, a musket with black powder. Yeah, good luck with that. That's probably not the best timing. And again, the background. Don't want to mention that too much. The whole camp itself, though, with the burning. I think there's also going to be a screenshot from a similar area at night, and it looks stunning. Just like this right here. So I think up there, is that a shambler? Could also be a brute. It's a little bit hard to tell from this angle. And again, I don't see a quick access to the bridge, which means ranged combat advantage. And map balancing, or maps in general, have a huge impact on the balancing of your game. Do you have a lot of connection points, or do you not? Because when you have no ladder going up there, the guy will just shoot at you non-stop. So maybe it's a must-have that you bring a gun yourself. So less connection points, less access points means that range combat might be stronger. But again, playtest, please. Okay, then next scene is gonna be right here. We have our boy over there reloading his weapon. I don't think we saw that guy yet. But alright, and we have Abel in the back going up against some armored AI. I think that's gonna be a Shambler, and they do come armored. Very fancy. Okay. We need a name for this thing here. Yeah, I know. You will have some creative ideas in the comment section. I can't wait to read it. And that's gonna be something special. Don't want to discuss this any further because we are lacking the info. Then, I like this a lot. So, there's travel time on the weapons, I assume. And I took this screenshot because you can actually see an object and you can see an impact. Now, I get it. How can they already be an impact when we see the bullets still flying? So, let's see if this needs to be tuned. But for a feeling when you play, this will be so fast, you will probably not realize that. But you can actually maybe see something whizzing by when you shoot. I like that. Also, I think we have again the dirt that we are... Sounds so weird to do. Like that pistol with the 2 barrels that you can rotate. That's probably what we are reloading right here in that clip. And then the next one. Verticality is a topic. Because I can see AI on the bridge in the back. And I think we're shooting at them. That bridge is a cute little bottleneck. But maybe there are more bridges that you can take.
Who goes there? Browse as long as you like.
This is so hard to judge from screenshots though, so I would say we're taking already way too long for this anyway. We keep going, and we see Gabriel's... I think it's Gabriel? Or is it the other one where we only saw concept art? It looks great though. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This is again a destroyed camp, maybe a destroyed village, a point of interest, burning and at night. I like the nighttime setting, because it's not pitch black and it's more an ambience thing and you can still fight there. I know my hunt audience or my veteran hunt audience from the early days of Hunt Showdown, they liked the almost pitch black darkness where the electrical lamp was actually useful. But I think for the majority of players this will be a little bit better. And here we go. It seems like he has a crap ton of nails in his mutated left arm. So maybe that's a special mutation. Combat looks nice, but I think we will be very soon in the PvP part of the trailer. So we're gonna go through the rest a little bit. Oh yeah. Again, maps seem to be big. Because for me it looks like you can go all the way to the small tower. So, they mentioned it already, I think. I hope I'm not leaking too much. There will be quite a few maps, but they are not all the same size. So you will have some smaller ones, you will have some bigger ones. Can work out, for example, in Tarkov, you have factory, when you have, you know, you want to have the taste for a meat grinder, then you go factory, but you also have some very big maps, like woods. Maybe also some quests will be only on certain maps. And then we have this right here. Yeah, so this is the area then where melee will be supreme. And here's the thing though, because I just recently played a few melee games. How does it work when you swing and you hit something? Because nothing is more frustrating than taking a swing and you hit a door frame and then it just cancels the whole combo. Yeah, sure, you don't want swords to go through the whole wall because this will look weird, but getting everything cancelled because you touched the wall, yeah, we will have to wait and see how that works, because I don't think we will see this in the trailer. Okay. Again? So Hugo is carrying a club here? And a spear. It's not the same spear though that we saw earlier, right? Abel is shooting at something in the courtyard. We are carrying a beautiful Zweihänder, and we have a Shambler guarding the next area. Now remember the screenshot, because there will be a combat scene in a little bit on the right of the screenshot, if I remember correctly. Yeah, again. I mean, I get it. Keep in mind, this is a cinematic thing at the end of the day, although everything is recorded. in-game, people will hopefully not, you know, walk in the open in a line. So, let's see. Yeah, dudes. Look at these mighty weapons. Look how long that sword is that Gabriel is carrying. Sick. Yeah. But this is also why I said, how will it work when you fight in narrow spaces? Because this might be horrible, actually. Maybe a disadvantage, though. You know, you swing these big weapons. And then I think here's where the PvP starts. And again, this is probably just a showcase scenario because this is not how people will most likely stand in the open there. The question is, when this is your regular or intended fighting distance, with the reload time of some weapons, and we have another extraction there on the right, will be very, very interesting. Kablam. Oh yeah. Again, the animations in this game look very solid. How the characters swing their weapons, I'm very, very impressed. Next one, oh yeah, nighttime setting. I think this will have a very cool vibe. Also, when you shoot, yeah, so they do bleed. The question is, of course, how much damage will that actually do? And we see Hugo collapse there. So apparently guns pretty good when you have a bare chest. What a surprise. But here he is back, ready to strike. And we sadly do not see the impact. Same here. I can see the player lifting his guard for the swing. Now, how will this work? Do you have a guard that just blocks everything? Do you need to, quote-unquote, meet their weapon, like their swing with your guard? How does it work with the stamina? I need to know more, so right now we can only focus on the visual aspect of it, and I have to say the visual aspect is great. And then we have the this gun again, and let's check that out real quick. Oh, let's look at that slow motion. My god, and did you see that? Whenever you fire around, that pin thing goes up, it rotates, locks in again. I like this. It seems like they paid a lot of attention to detail when it came to creating these weapons or designing these weapons in-game. And then again, we have this scenario here where Abel is just taking a huge overhead swing. It seems like you're stabbing him in the chest. Yeah, next screenshot, we are now in a dense forest, and we have this, I'm just gonna call it the quick reloading sparks. I know that is not the gun, but my main audience then probably gets a feeling for that. And just look at how fast the thing reloads or fires in slow motion. So I hope this is gonna be a high tier expensive weapon or has a ridiculous reload time after these 4 shots, because that thing's absolutely devastating. And here we have now the other angle. We were at the little bridge on the left. This is actually the same team here. And Abel just got absolutely demolished by this firing squad here. Can I have the slow-mo, please, from this one? Here we go. Brains flying everywhere. The effect is cool, though. And again, I like how the characters move. I like how they have a stance with the guard and everything. I don't know if Gabriel will have a good time. Is it even Gabriel? I think it's Gabriel. We'll have a good time against these two, the Shambler and the Creepy Crawly. And then, oh, I want a slow-mo from this. This is exactly what I meant with the animations. Just check that out. It's not just a simple overhead swing. So we are doing like this overhead to the side. Oh, I did a lot. And then we have a bloater exploding here. One of the team is actually going down to that. And another screenshot where we are in a narrow space. And my guess would be this is a dungeon. This is a dungeon. Holy moly. It looks great. So we have some guns. We have some people swinging the weapons. How all of that will feel at the end of the day. Nice. Kablam. And more kablam. So again, this character, I think we saw him earlier a little bit where he was standing in a window. And we have a destroyed balloon in the top left. So can you destroy extractions and force people to take other ones? I assume it's just a point of interest, but think about it, being able to destroy extractions so they have to go somewhere else might be a cool mechanic. Maybe a little bit too toxic though. Yeah, okay, see, this is what I meant slow-mo. What kind of gun is that? Holy crap. This is exactly what I meant. This is purely for showcasing the game, and I hope people will not charge like across the field, like back in the days where they actually did it. And yeah, we have then this at the end. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna stop here real quick. What I saw so far in this gameplay trailer is amazing when it comes to level design, when it comes to weapons. There are a few things that are slightly concerning. First of all, how will the gear work? Because yeah, even with the quick math that we did, it seems that there are some very powerful items. And the next thing is, I know it's probably a tool that they use to create tension. I'm a little bit disappointed that whenever two players clashed in melee, you didn't see how they interacted or feedback there. So I hope that we will see in the next gameplay trailer, or whatever they're gonna show us next, some PvP combat that does not end the moment the swing connects. Otherwise, it looks promising. It's difficult not to get hyped for this. And I'm super happy that they actually added, and that's what we're gonna check out right now, a raw clip without any music, without any hectic stuff going on. So the first thing, this is music to my ears. Do you hear this beefy kabang kabang? This is how guns need to sound. Holy crap. That thing, this is something that is very important for me, and that is audio. Audio of guns, it has to slap. Whenever I shoot the sparks and hunt, this is so satisfying. And it seems like it will be very similar in this one too. Nice. Okay, 100 X-Wings. Audio is great, and it feels like, and I'm not playing it even, it feels like your weapon or the swing has impact. There is some weight behind it. This is necessary because whenever you swing a weapon and the feedback is kind of like, yeah, I'm swinging a plastic sword and nothing is happening, this is not very satisfying. And this is on a satisfaction level, it seems to be pretty good. One thing that I probably will see in the comment section though is gonna be this camera shake whenever you have an impact. So maybe this will be something in the settings that you can tune this down or disable. I know that lots of people do not like this sort of camera shake. I think it adds more to the impact feeling, but hey, everybody has a different opinion about what they like, which is totally fine. Yeah, nice. Now, the usual YouTuber begging at the end there, and this time it actually serves a purpose though. In case you enjoyed this Hunger News Update podcast episode, drop a little like, and if you want to see any further content about Hunger, don't forget to subscribe. Whenever there's something new, you know it, I cover it, analyze it, and bring it to you guys as fast as I can edit it. Also, the more traction on these Hunger videos, you know, the more likely it is people find the game, because it's still a little bit hidden in the gaming community. And one last thing before I forget it, pinned comment will have the Steam link, and it will also have the link to the official YouTube channel, so you can sub over there too. Sweet! Then, as always, a big shout out to my patrons. Guys, what would I do without you? You are just amazing. And with that, I just wish everybody out there a happy day. Thank you for watching. My hype is growing, and every time I see something new about Hunger, it seems like it's justified. I see you in the next one. Until then, have a good day, and bye-bye.
Peggy 18.
DC, how DC right now is how Henry Quinn.
How many?
Dumb shows.
In this video, we'll be telling like all the gay survivors.
He also did
The game is just bad.
Co to uopšte znači?
Nice little sadistic Swift.
Fuck off.
Shut the f up. Shut the f up. Let me talk here.
You know, I like Dead by Daylight, actually. I've had a lot of good times in it, lots of good memories and all that. It's a great game, right? It's basically been my main multiplayer game over the past few years, even above TF2. And it hosts some of the most unique PvP experiences you can find anywhere, while having a ton of variety and content and not taking itself too seriously. I'm sure you've at least heard of the game, even though the fan base isn't too obnoxious outside of the game's own bubble. It's a game like Rust, where it's consistently in the Steam top 50 and pretty much everyone has at least heard of it, but tend to stay away from it because of what they hear about it. But what's inside the bubble, once you get interested in the game and start going through the content and debates, you'll start to realize something. The DBD community is an echo chamber of repetition where pretty much everyone in the community is always complaining about something and talking about how much they actively hate the game and the community while actively contributing to the community being bad. So I'll contribute in my own, hopefully unique way. The most obvious direction I could take this is complaining about the entitlement and the us versus them and all that. Many others have droned on about it like they're somehow above it. And if you're even slightly familiar with the game, you've heard of the tribalism, and you've been told by your favorite white content creators how the community is so toxic and they're one of the good ones. This all stems from a horrific mindset that's kind of been in the game since its inception in 2016. Even the worst parts of the community know about the fabled killer versus survivor mindset, and debates and how the same talking points have been brought up constantly over and over again since literally day one. Players having the same debates about play how you want and my fun isn't your job, on loop for nearly a decade at this point. I mean, look at a channel like Spook and Juice. His channel is essentially the same cycle of videos every month for all eternity, mainly regurgitating the same 2 points because it's human nature to pick a side and take no accountability. But I'll get into the content later because it's really lazy in general. Despite what I just said, I'm not going to the us versus them route in this video. I'm playing holier than thou while acting like I never complain. Because due to its asymmetrical nature, the game will get on your nerves and it's just bound to happen at some point. You've heard these debates and they've been done many times in the past and will continue until we have 80 killers and 3,000 hurts. Something that isn't talked about nearly enough is that the community is just... I have never seen a community form around any game that's as unhappy, spiteful, and miserable as this one. The community, at least the vocal majority, seems like they just don't enjoy any aspect of the game, and are just constantly miserable playing it. Even with fun, new, exciting stuff. A new killer comes out who's weaker than the top 5 killers in the game, and people are enjoying him? Well, we should gut him so we can play against more blights. A new survivor is coming who may bring strong perks to the table that aren't the same 10 you've seen for the past 200 games. Well, just complain before they're even out. We don't like variety. And these are just incredibly recent examples that are on my mind. To put it in perspective, I was having a lot of fun with last year's anniversary event. The abilities were fun, and the randomness made it pretty dynamic and more casual. One of the best events the game has had by far, in my opinion. But all I saw when I went online was people complaining about it. They do this with every event or new modifier that comes out. These are generally supposed to be side modes that aren't taken as seriously, but you can also choose completely to ignore. The devs add a fun jump scare mode and lights out, and the community complains about the balance, or it's too hard, or it's not fun, or it's killer-sided. The devs add a perk randomizer, the anniversary event I just mentioned. Well, it's too random, too inconsistent. I can't rely on my brain-dead bullshit to get me an easy escape or forecast. The devs release a 2-day-long April Fool's joke event. Yeah, same thing, I'm not kidding. And don't even get me started with the crying about 2v8, especially the most recent one. And don't get me wrong, I understand the game has molded to be more competitive over the years, which is fine. I try to win and have fun just like everyone else on the normal mode. But to apply that balance philosophy to a limited time event is just miserable. It's such a shame to see the devs put effort in making something casual and new, time and time again, only for it to be dissected by this terrorist community the same way every time. Criticizing something for its flaws is perfectly fine, like we saw with the most recent Blood Moon event being kinda eh. But it happens like every time regardless of how well made it is. And this is just the, events. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm not pretending to be a chill and casual dude bro like some of these content slaves I'll get into later. I want the game to be balanced too, because there is a difference between unbalanced and unfun. Quick history lesson. Do you remember when the 6.1.0 patch came out a couple years ago and put the game into a much better state balance-wise? This was actually the patch that made me return to DBD after not playing it for a year, because the strict skill-based matchmaking combined with the terrible balance made killer feel like a chore and every game felt like a tournament. Your skill wasn't rewarded at all, so just play Blight, right?
Yeah, especially when they all have decisive, they all have borrowed time, they all are dead hard. You know, it just comes to a point where it's not fucking fun.
There's also a massive influx of cheaters in general around this time, but that's an issue for a different day. Killer in general being such unplayable garbage around this time meant Survivor queue times were incredibly long, and it meant you just run into the same S-tier killers every match because they were the only ones who could compete. Around this time, mainly 2021 to 2022, I stopped playing because of some very stupid balance changes and underwhelming releases. The final nail in the coffin for me is when the devs buffed Dead Hard, the best survivor perk in the game, which had been meta for 5 years and massively picked, as well as nerfing mid-tier killers like Wraith and Deathslinger because survivors complained about them. It wasn't just me though, this was the biggest exodus of players the game had ever seen. So why am I giving you this history lesson? Well, this Miracle 6.1.0 patch rolls around fixing a lot of issues I had with the game, as well as the subsequent patches afterwards clearing up more things like the hilariously broken state of Eruption. They were really getting back on track with the game, but you know what sentiment I heard echoed in the community constantly throughout this time and still do to an extent? These hypocritical creators were now saying Dead by Daylight is too balanced and it's no longer fun because of that. AKA their brain dead perks got nerfed and now the game is too balanced and not fun enough.
I hate to break it to you, Dead Hard had a ton of counterplay. It was only nerfed because its pick rate was high because people liked to play it because it was fun.
This is like Texas Chainsaw Massacre dev talk, and I've never understood it. I'm not even strawmanning. You can find posts back in the day saying this, and people still talk about it. These statements are primarily coming from Survivor 1 tricks, because a lot of their brain-dead shit got nerfed in the patch, and now they have to play without them. And you saw the same thing during big meta shakeups in later patches, like Eruption being changed. Like, I get it. I know the devs can make bad decisions, and it's fun to shit on them because you've never made anything in your life, and being a game dev is really easy, right? But it seems like no matter what behavior does, they get yelled at by these types. Something is too strong, they'll complain about it being unbalanced. It gets nerfed, the game is too balanced, it's not fun anymore. This hypocritical mindset is found all over the place in the community, and I don't hear it talked about as much as some of the other mindsets. I swear, it's like any discussion I see anywhere about this game is either just hilariously negative and doomer, or it just has people arguing about the most inconsequential things. Just go to Reddit, it's like every balance post always delves into just like two monkeys slapping each other in the comments back and forth. Every single patch you hear is this patch is killer-sided, it's survivor-sided, every single time it's exhausting. People just really take their one side to heart, and since they never play the other side, they're never happy and they always see it as behavior catering to the other side. People do say this all the time, but the us versus them and mob mentality really are unavoidable when it comes to a format like this, with such unique and intimate gameplay on both sides. The main reason you don't see this type of segregation in other communities is because DBD is the only asymmetrical game that's really left an impact and still has an active player base. Which is great, but in turn we get post after post of just straight bitching and they never get tired of it. The negativity bias really has a grasp on people like this. There are discourse and flame wars basically anywhere you go in this community, down to the most minute details that proves an unhealthy hyperfixation. These types are generally miserable playing the game, but just like TF2, it's the only multiplayer game they really play and the only one they're good at. I actually can't really blame them this time though, because there really aren't that many alternatives. Every time a new promising asymmetrical horror type game comes out, it always dies within months because for some reason this genre attracts the most entitled and miserable people. They're never happy no matter how good the state of the game is in. When the game was finally pushed into a good state balance-wise, giving killers an overall buff while nerfing a ton of meta perks on both sides, finally people wanted to play killer again, and while it wasn't all great, returning to the game and having one of the best chapters released right after was a breath of fresh air for me, and I haven't really stopped playing since. I truly felt like the devs were finally listening to the community, especially when a later patch balanced a lot of stuff that was unfun about 6.1.0. I expected to hopefully see some positivity from my fellow killers and survivors, because this was the best state the game has ever been in, and to this day the game continues to be in a fairly good state balance-wise, and yet we still can play it unconstructively. I could talk endlessly about this, but if you want to be proven in real time, just go to r/DVD and put on your hazmat suit, or check in on what the pasty white guys on YouTube are telling you to think, and don't form your own opinion. Actually, wait, that reminds me. Dead by Daylight, out of all the multiplayer games I've been interested in, probably has some of the worst overall content on YouTube for its size. Like, I'm gonna be honest here, I talked a lot of shit about TF2 content in my TF2 video, how it's repetitive and blah blah blah, but it's at least, like, edited. It has production value, a lot of the shittier stuff still. And this doesn't just go for YouTube, it goes for essentially any type of DVD content on the internet. I'm not sure how the bar has been raised so low, but there's essentially like 5 types of content you can make. Let me list them off and use the channel as an example. You could always make ADHD survivor content where you try to make builds around the same perks over and over again but end up not using them, basically only experiencing one side of the game and ranking the Bully Fresh install killers, provably. These guys act like they're having fun in their videos, but if you go to their streams, they're just constantly whining and complaining.
Oh, I have that one. I don't even fucking make it anywhere. I don't know why I'm fucking reading anything against this killer. This killer's so brain dead. I already hate playing against this killer.
It's sort of some of the fake positivity I'll get into later. But on the other hand, there's killer content where you can get some slave to go through your Twitch VODs of the day and upload killer matches in their entirety with no editing, or anything really interesting about them, clickbaiting the fuck out of them because you've run out of things to offer. These two types of content are essentially 90% of what you'll find in Dead by Daylight. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just pure gameplay, right? But to me, it just begs the question of why not play the game yourself unless something truly interesting happened in the match, which it didn't, spoiler alert. People even say these types tend to promote bad gameplay because they showcase broken and exploitable shit in the game, and I tend to agree. You gotta pay that rent somehow, I guess. Daily uploads aren't enough anymore. These types of videos are just such zombie filler, and they have absolutely no production value. But this is the most popular type of content, and it's not even close. Sometimes when I'm browsing YouTube, I get like random 30-view videos recommended to me of some survivor using some perk I've seen a million times, and I just don't understand what they think will happen. You're doing nothing new. I'm guessing most of them are trying to emulate bigger creators, because this has essentially been the DVD meta since the beginning. But there's nothing to it. It's just full matches in their entirety with no editing. Or sometimes too much editing because nothing interesting is actually happening. With such a versatile game with so many things to talk about, have you really thought of nothing more interesting to do in the past 8 years than this? I'll give TF2 content credit. At the very least, it has variety, kind of. I mean, it's like edited. But anyways, the third type of content is less common. It's channels like Moist Critic, Scott Junn, that have these incredibly repetitive and obnoxious debates around the same talking points for all eternity. They essentially have daily uploads just being the yes man of the community and saying what they're supposed to. It's also really bad content, but at least there's some sort of writing involved. Just not a lot of editing at all. Scott Junn type videos are basically just white noise at this point. They sort of just AFK in their room, like telling people what they want to hear. Sit at home in their pajamas and still complain about like hating the game when they're just getting paid to do nothing. Like these types are never really happy, which I guess is fitting. No matter what behavior does, they'll always complain. There's always something to bitch about, right? If they're not talking about recent changes and stuff like that, then they're going on about the same shit. But I've mentioned this before. No editing is essentially the norm in this community, with 99% of channels that don't post gameplay just having boring and uninteresting gameplay in the background as B-roll with absolutely no editing. Having an unscripted voiceover with gameplay in the background talking about how behavior is Satan and how this next balance change will kill your parents is something literally anyone could do. It's so untalented. But it's what most gaming content on YouTube is, so I don't know why I strive for better. You're just putting in more effort for less, so I guess I get it. It's scummy. And a side note referencing my TF2 video, the suggested balance changes to perks and killers are essentially the weapon reviews of this community. They're so repetitive and obvious. With the main important difference being that the dev team is actually alive and does sometimes listen to feedback. It still doesn't change the fact that your 30th Reddit post about how you'd rework this perk that no one uses, or how Myers should be buffed, or how Trapper should start with all his traps, or the nurse should be deleted takes that you stole from Oxdarva are a waste of time and are not going to do anything. Much like the discourse around balance changes, it's the same debate over and over again, and I assure you no one cares. I don't know how they're not bored of this shit. I've seen it all before. Your suggestion to make pain resonance disable when a survivor is killed, or whatever, is the definition of insanity, and I'll leave it at that. Do something better with your time. Now, the fourth major type of content that you'll see is what I call the holier-than-thou public execution. Spook and Jukes, Aaron Duke, who also quit, even Sky Faction and Choi sometimes make this type of stuff where you basically just put some random guy on blast for being annoying on Twitch or something. It's essentially just slop drama farming and doesn't really accomplish anything besides bringing more attention to people who want it, despite hiding names or getting people harassed and defamed. This is another thing you never see in other communities. What other community like goes over someone's VOD on Twitch and like showcases them being toxic and pretending they're better? Like, it's so weird. What other community does that? This community's latest villain has been Titan of the Mind. He's just villain of the week. He got slandered for saying some base stuff on stream, and Choi simply making a video on him got his Dead by Daylight account mass reported over nothing, and now he's been banned for a month. Just over a mob mentality, and nobody cares, by the way. A similar thing happened to this guy recently. The community is just so emotional, it just loves dogpiling on people and beating them down without ever really being rational. And these creators who make these videos are just such disingenuous cocksuckers, and they'll always act coy and act like they're high and mighty for not daring to take the game as seriously as these goblins while constantly raging on their own stream. There's a serious pretentious surge of fake personalities and toxic positivity in this community, with these high and mighty white dudes putting themselves on a pedestal and acting fake during their own matches while looking down on anyone who's honest. It's almost like since this community kind of has a bad reputation and is known for toxicity, these creators see themselves as one of the good ones despite feeding their horrible mindsets. fans and slander to their sheep audiences. And that's not even mentioning the compies, holy shit. I mentioned the TF2 accent in my TF2 video, but if you want to know what the Dead by Daylight accent is, then just listen to Momo7. I swear people like this are raised in a factory and fed vocab, they're just so generic.
This is cooked, bro.
The whole comp scene is even more cringe and repetitive than just the normal community, so I'm not even gonna get into it, maybe another time. The whole one of the good ones charade is what a majority of creators do in this game. Big Survivor creators like Skirms act like they're just in it to mess around and not take the game seriously, in their full 4-man meta swift on a win streak doing clock callouts. And big creators who play Killer feel obliged to play Nice Guy Killer and act superior, because they sympathize for the other side. It's all just very, very self-righteous. I mean, it's not like all DVD content is bad. The fifth major type of content is, well, I don't really have a name for it, but I guess I could call it edited, opinionated discussion videos. Like the stuff that Mint Skull, Asimovs, or Pixel Bush makes, or Kill a Whale, God rest his soul. This stuff is actually pretty great. It shows that there's actually demand for good content that isn't white noise, but sadly there's just not enough people making it. I'd say it's less than 1% of the content you see. But this video isn't about praising the small but good parts of the community, so I'll just keep talking about the drama slop. Random people like Pro Vengeance have had literal dozens of hit pieces made on him when he's never picked a fight and stays in his own space. These people always call it a showcase of behavior. It's just so pretentious. These disingenuous Wojaks have such a mob mentality against these people. And that's not even mentioning the random drama between creators that springs up every other week, which still has us versus them undertones without even realizing it. This is a byproduct of the major double standards found in this community, and the us versus them mindset and tribalism which was found within it. Speaking of which, I think where a lot of this negativity comes from is because statistically around 70 to 80% of DVD players are mainly Survivor players. And before you paint me as a big bad killer main and throw a bunch of buzzwords and insults, I'm just going off statistics here. Survivor in general is just way easier and more chill than Killer regardless of which is stronger, leading to a majority of players fixating more to Survivor. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most Killer mains play Survivor, at least some, but a lot of Survivor mains hardly play any Killer, which leads to this lopsided clusterfuck of double standards. If the community was more of a 50-50 and not an 80-20, it would definitely be better. But there's a reason why perks like Made for This were in the game untouched for 7 months, despite during that time going against 3 to 4 of them each match and invalidating the bottom half of the Killer roster. But a new strong Killer comes out and he's gutted within a matter of 2 weeks. There's a reason why Dead Hard, an incredibly brain-dead and unhealthy perk, was allowed to be in the game for over 5 years, while the Killer equivalent of Eruption was nerfed within like a month or two. There's a reason why the outcry about tunneling and camping has gotten so bad to the point where the upcoming patches are claiming to address this, but we'll just have to see if they actually tackle the root of the issue, which is that the math is just rigged against you as Killer. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of people calling me Hitler in the comments for preaching verified facts because they don't have an argument, and it's okay, it's fine, it's okay to be emotional. You'll just prove my point. I just wanted to shed some light on the double standard of play for my fun, which is something you still see survivors say to this day, and killers kind of do it sometimes. I know this has kind of been covered to death, but there's never been another multiplayer game I've played or seen that is so entitled to the point where they believe that it's the other side's job to care about their fun. It's perfectly fine to complain about shit, but this mindset is actually one of the driving factors of this game's community being the way it is, considering the imbalance of Survivor and Killer players statistically. Despite my mixed feelings on him, I believe Spook and Jukes actually said it best.
But why would they be upset about me bringing Eriehead and Amori if they brought DS Unbreakable, and a brand new part? I don't get the double standard. They said it was sad. It's only sad when the Killer brings overpowered things. Isn't that funny how that works?
Ignoring his arrogance and repetitive slop content, I think he's still one of the biggest creators who actually makes fun of this double standard to this day, which is great to see. Doesn't mean you still don't run into it every day playing the game, though. The amount of crying and rage quitting has kind of reached its boiling point as behavior actually plans to add base game restrictions to avoid the currently ongoing Go Next epidemic, where survivors will instantly remove themselves from the match by suiciding on Hook to avoid a DC penalty because you didn't play Blight or Huntress that match. When has any other mainstream multiplayer game had to do something like that? Like, I know DBD is unique in comparison, but that's still insane. These players just doom
Welcome to my channel. Your chat is so empty, it is giving no signal vibes. Fix it with bot sister ships.
What the fuck is vibe?
Is the language of the community. When you beat a
What the
survivor
fuck is
using
vibe?
essentially any means, they'll sometimes talk about how you had to play like that, which is a phrase I've heard so many times. It's the only multiplayer game I've ever seen where people get this mad bad and shame you for winning or trying to win. They always use vague dialogue like that paints them as the victims while avoiding all responsibility. In a majority of sweaty multiplayer games played by generic teenagers and 20-somethings who say bro a lot, they usually shift the blame to their teammates to avoid responsibility. But in this game, it's the complete opposite, likely stemming from the asymmetrical nature, like many things. This behavior is so normalized at this point, coming from people who mainly are just not enjoying the game and make that everyone else's problem. If you have 5,000 hours in the game and all you do is complain about it and talk about how you wished you never got into it, it does not make you cool or rebellious, it makes you degenerate, and so many people do this. This game is in a great state at the moment compared to what it's been before. We're getting solid content consistently, the balance is better than ever, the matchmaking and cheaters are in a good spot, and we have a massive anniversary chapter coming up with Five Nights at Freddy's. And yet people are still going on about how much they hate it, and yet they play it every day. Like, just stop playing the game at this point. Constantly complaining about it while you play it makes you such an insufferable loser. But in a space filled with them, maybe you'll fit right at home. In conclusion, I love Dead by Daylight. My hours are quickly growing every day, and it has nothing but good things ahead of it. As someone who started playing around 2020 after Pyramid Head released, I've seen how far this game has come and how it's constantly giving new things to look forward to for the player base. But that's not what you'd think if you watched any of this slop. Negativity baiting is rampant, but so is toxic positivity. There were so many things I didn't even touch on in this video, like just how unfunny the community is with a lot of its jokes having the punchline of haha porn, or just how bored some of these people are despite how much the game is constantly innovating. Dead by Daylight is what I want from a multiplayer game. A truly unique and intimate experience is full of back and forth, and not just pressing left click on a health bar for a minute straight in spammy team fights. I genuinely hope the best for the game, and I'll continue to play it for the foreseeable future, unless they really fuck it up like they did in 2021. The devs listen to the entitlement, and they still make mistakes, but overall they've done a good job, and its player base is the real problem, directing a lot of their hate towards the game they put so much time and money into, instead of their own miserable selves. Anyways, I hope you get something out of this video. If you say rage bait or something, then you lose. Just please, like, if you disagree, just make a good point. No one made good points last time. I'll probably keep making DVD shit for the time being, since I find the game so interesting and fun to talk about. Okay, cool, I wait your rage bait comment, bye.
Why do you like Pocket Cat? It's obvious, isn't it? He's a tall, charismatic gentleman with a handsome grin. He's your best friend. He's always got a funny tale to tell, or an interesting observation. You'll never be bored around him. It's not all sunshine, though. The Pocket Cat has his quirks. He can be pushy and even rude when denied his pleasures. And for his pleasures, well, he's quite fond of children. You can consider that a warning for the topics we'll be discussing today, by the way. Pocket Cat is the most disgusting character in the Fear and Hunger games. The worst from many of the games I've played, in fact. He's anti-human in almost every way one could be. So, I ask again, why do you like Pocket Cat? Far from civilization, for, well, it's not entirely accurate, but let's call them heroes, travel to the dungeons of fear and hunger to rescue, interrogate, or kill the imprisoned warlord Lagarde. The dungeons were said to be bad, but are actually far worse than anyone could imagine, and the nightmares within threaten to tear apart their bodies and minds. But the worst monster in that dungeon is one that's out of place. Waiting patiently below the prisons is the Pocket Cat. He doesn't attack or threaten you. In fact, right away you two hit it off and become the best of friends. Such is your bond that he decides to ask you some personal questions and share what's on his mind. Living humans are divided into two groups, yes? There are children of light, those destined to walk under the bright sun. Even in the darkest hour, they can feel the warmth of their loved ones in their heart and gain extra courage from that. Then, in the opposite end of the spectrum, there are people of darkness. Those humans who are often driven to depression and sorrow because of life's peculiar ways. But they have learned to live with those feelings. In fact, They have grown to love the ever-pressing darkness within. Which one are you? Well, which one? Are you a person of light or darkness? If you're here, then, well, I suspect there's only one answer. I suspected as much. I am glad you were able to be so honest with me. Tell me, do you love me by chance? Well, right. So, you really aren't a human of darkness. You just said so, because you thought that's what I wanted to hear. But that's alright. Really. However, you must always remember to be yourself in every situation, even if you love someone. Because if you base your love on a lie like that, it won't end well for you. Well, it probably won't end well anyways. But that's life. Peculiar as always. He has a variety of unique and powerful items to trade, but he only trades them for children. Yes, children. And he won't accept anything else. You might think it's difficult to find a spare child in the remote dungeons, but luckily for you, there's one in a cage on the first floor who is happy to accompany you. And Pocket Cat is very happy to take her. If you do trade her, she'll stay there with him. Don't think too much about what might happen to her. If you refuse him here, don't worry. You have another opportunity deeper in the dungeon, in the village of the cave dwellers. But if you refuse him here, well, next time, he won't be so polite. He'll become desperate, even rude. Frankly, it's unbecoming. Why, hello again, stranger. I came to a sudden realization that you happen to have a lovely little human girl with you. And I've been asking for such a thing for a while now. I think you should seriously consider my offer and just hand over the girl. How's it going to be, old chap? No. You see, a large chap myself, asking nicely for such a small offering. Something so insignificant. You barely even know this little creature. You just met her a few fleeting moments ago, yet you decline me this tiny pleasure. My only pleasure. I'll ask once more. Will you give me the girl? Will you politely give me the girl? No. This one says no. Master, what do I do? You don't always get what you want, huh? I did think you loved me. I really did. I mean, how else do you explain all those long gazes we shared? And how we always used to talk to the long hours of the night? Just the two of us. Maybe our feet gently touched each other when no one else was watching. I thought something was there. I think it's best for me to go. I'll leave while I still have my dignity. Goodbye. He almost takes the girl from you by force, but stops. But why? It's clear the girl is the only thing he wants. Why didn't he try to take her from you? Who is this master of his? Is there another mysterious character in the dungeons who desires the girl who may give us some clues? Why, what an astute question. There is indeed. Deep down, at what is almost the lowest layer of the dungeon, we can find the ancient stone doors leading to the city of the gods.
Okay. Lunchtime. Lunchtime.